Fazeena, you're the CEO of Colombo Fashion Week, and all of us have been one of your stakeholders at any given time. And I know just from a retail perspective how annoying myself and Vinu can be during your crazy time period at Colombo Fashion Week, but also throughout the year. And then we have designers here with us who also work with you, but you have so many stakeholders that you need to manage. So how do you align all of us towards this one common goal of working towards a more sustainable future? So how do you manage this?
Thanks, Shahili, for that. Let me first start with possibly saying where we are today with sustainability amidst this COVID. I personally feel the lockdown has given us a great opportunity to reinvent and reset fashion.
Mm-hmm.
The entire industry was driven by deep discounting, and it was completely burdened. And we've been leading consumers blindly towards hyperconsumption.
Yes.
Knowingly, unknowingly, this has been driven by big organizations and encouraging people to buy lots and lots of clothes with discounted items. I think we are in a good position to reset that. It almost makes you wonder what happened to that relationship between the garment and the designer and the consumer. It's almost lost there. There's no value in what you create anymore. So what we really wanted to do, I think the virus has helped us done to see the optimistic side of things. So I think it's a perfect time for designers to find their identity and engage with that consumer. This is that time to strengthen your point of view. So there's no better time for a collective clean slate, as we call it. As a body, Colombo Fashion Week, we develop creative talent, we educate, and we showcase. So we've been in the responsibility of fashion for quite some time now. We've done it in many ways, launching the responsible movement. We've had many seminars, talks, bringing in thought leadership and creating that awareness in sustainability. So there was a time, I believe, where everyone thought, yes, a shift has to be made, but very seldom did the shift happen. So our role in the industry is actually to make sure this shift is directed in the right direction, and also convince people that it is a necessity. Absolutely. So how if you ask me, how do we bring all of these together? We continue to do this, and how we've done it is addressing all of the stakeholders in the system. The designers, how they rethink fashion, how they address the whole process, the supply chain, and also finally the most important part, the consumers. How do we connect with all of them to make sure they know what needs to be done to be sustainable? So a week before we went into this lockdown, we were all set to launch a cutting-edge scoring system. Sharika very much knows about it as well. This system connects the designer to the consumer in many different levels, creating accountability and transparency. The need to give an actionable direction to the designer and the consumer is what prompted this whole system. Okay. So it's called the responsible meter. It's a scoring system that guides anyone who's part of it, who's pledged it like a designer, to understand the responsible journey of the garment.
So when you tell me that it's almost like a scoring system and like quite point-based, will you be able to tell me what is the criteria in the scoring system?
Yes, there's a 10-point scoring system. So to break it down further, this brings to light the design process. The whole scoring system brings to light the design process, how people consume the production, and finally the disposal plan of the garment. So in short, it understands the journey of the responsible journey of the garment from the beginning to the end. Yeah. So how do we derive this system? It of course is a lengthy process this, but if I'm to explain to you in a nutshell, um, they are three broad categories that define the 10 different aspects, the 10 different points, right? So to start with, it addresses the environmental well-being, societal well-being, and organizational well-being. So everything that we all talk about in terms of sustainability, inculcated, narrowed down into these 10 points.
Yeah.
So that is me telling you in a small way, because we also focus more actionable pillars around circularity. The system has what you call 3 pillars that we talk about, right? It's garment enhancement policy. We have a return after use policy, and we also have a considerable disposable plan. So this whole system brings together and streamlines what the designer needs to do, what the stakeholder needs to do, or the supply chain, and what the consumer needs to understand. It simplifies it and brings us all to one point.
Oh, wow. So this is like very important as to why we need to have this, like
why you need to have the responsible meter.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of work and information has gone into creating this system, right? For a supply chain to be progressive, for a responsible supply chain to be progressive, we need an ecosystem to work with.
Absolutely.
An ecosystem that encourages good consumption, builds a culture of consuming and appreciating responsible design. The work that designers like Lonali and Darshi are putting in needs to be appreciated, and this meter helps facilitate that environment. And
absolutely.
Also, sorry.
Absolutely. We need to.
The meter also helps the designers reach their sustainable goals, because it's not today they decide to be sustainable, tomorrow they can achieve it. It's a phase by phase process where they understand themselves. So this gives them a good guideline, and the 10 different points come from various different aspects of sustainability, right? So this gives them a good guideline to what they can achieve in every phase. So it gives, so I think it's quite important to have.
Absolutely. Also, Binu mentioned that the design collective is trying to formulate this blueprint where they can roll out to different designers, because everyone at the design collective are at different business life cycles. And here you mentioned like 10 points and how it's a phase, like, because everyone can't get to it at the same time. So it's very, very interesting to see that this is already something that you guys are already working on, and retailers are thinking as well, saying, okay, we need to have this blueprint. So it's amazing that now we can collaborate and work together, because everyone understands how important it is. But the importance is this quantifiable measure, how you talk about it. Having the meter, having this core system, and how it's really important. Now, I can see how it's really important for us as a retailer, how we can empower designers to progress and learn more. And it'll help them to also understand from their supply chain point of view. But how do we now make sure that the consumers also understand this? So I can see how designers will come on board very quickly, and retailers also understand the value. But how are you planning to get consumers on board, or for them to understand why the responsible meter is going to be equally important?
Yes, the designers and the stakeholders and the supply chain they're already part of the system. They've been with us, they've been part of it, they've pledged to be part of it. The consumer, however, is really key, and they're the lifeline of this system. Because without them wanting to buy the right thing, it's impossible for the designer or the retailer to function, right? So each garment, so what happens is, once the designer pledges to be part of the system, each garment of theirs will carry this meter. It's a little tag that informs what point number 1, 2, and 3 mean. So example, garment A will have 1, 2, and 4 as the transparency and the journey of that garment. Mm-hmm. And garment number 2 will have, say, points 7, 8, and 6. So this this dialogue with the consumer is what is so crucial to this system, because they become aware, they know what they're buying, and they become conscious consumers, which is the ecosystem that we all plan to develop, which I spoke about earlier. So it all dovetails into what we want to create and the system we want to move forward with.
That amazing. I really hope that we're all able to work towards this incredible goal, that what you guys are working on, and to be really part of it as well.
Yes, of course, we're very excited to launch it because it's multi-pronged. It is for everyone in the system. In other countries, these things are not. We are the first to launch it. We're proud to say we're the first to launch it in the world, a system that is so cutting edge. There's so much knowledge that's gone into it, and maybe one of the reasons that other countries haven't done it is because it really costs. And someone like Sharika would be more aware and be able to tell you how bringing this information together and be able to streamline this it takes a lot. But being able to do it to make sure that we drive it for the entire country and the industry.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Faz.